The dimensional crack that had appeared in the sky grew wider, reality itself bending and twisting as something impossible fell through the tear between worlds. Goku crashed into the Demon Slayer world with the force of a meteor, creating a crater that rivaled the one Saitama had left after destroying Akaza. Dust and debris flew everywhere as the orange-clad Saiyan slowly stood up, completely unharmed. "Whoa, that was a rough landing," Goku said, brushing dirt off his gi. "But man, I can sense it. There's someone incredibly strong in this world." The villagers who witnessed his arrival thought he was another demon. His spiky hair, strange clothing, and the raw power emanating from him terrified them. Children hid behind their parents as adults whispered prayers. But Goku wasn't interested in the frightened humans. His senses were locked onto something far more intriguing, a power level unlike anything he'd ever encountered across multiple universes. "This energy, it's not like anything I've felt before," Goku muttered, his excitement building. "It's not just strong, it's like it doesn't have limits at all." He launched into the air, following the energy signature that seemed to be calling to him from across the countryside. For the first time in years, Goku felt the familiar thrill of potentially finding a worthy opponent. Meanwhile, Saitama was still at the market, completely unaware that his wish on the shooting star was about to be answered in the most unexpected way possible. Saitama stood in front of a vegetable stall, holding a cabbage and examining it with the same intensity most people reserve for life-changing decisions. The vendor watched nervously as the legendary Demon Slayer contemplated his produce. "This cabbage costs the same as 3 demon hunting missions," Saitama sighed. "Maybe I should just grow my own vegetables." That's when he felt it. A presence unlike anything he'd encountered in this world or his original timeline. Someone was approaching with genuine strength, not the hollow arrogance of demons or the desperate bravery of fellow demon slayers. Goku landed behind him with a soft thud, his boots touching the ground as gently as a feather despite falling from the sky. The Saiyan's eyes were bright with excitement and curiosity. "Hey there," Goku said with his characteristic friendly tone. "Are you the one with that incredible power I've been sensing?" Saitama turned around slowly, his expression as blank as always. He looked at Goku's orange gi, spiky hair, and enthusiastic demeanor with the same mild interest he'd show a slightly unusual cloud formation. "Incredible power?" Saitama repeated. "I'm just buying groceries." Goku's smile widened. Even though this bald man in the strange checkered uniform looked completely ordinary, Goku's instincts were screaming that he was standing before someone extraordinary. "My name's Goku," the Saiyan said, extending his hand. "I'm from another universe, and I've been searching everywhere for someone who could give me a real challenge. Your energy, it's unlike anything I've ever felt." Saitama stared at the offered hand for a moment before shaking it with the enthusiasm of someone forced to attend a work meeting. "Saitama," he replied. "Another universe? That's new. Usually people just come from other villages." The handshake lasted only a second, but in that moment, both fighters felt something they hadn't experienced in a long time. Goku felt the vast, incomprehensible depth of Saitama's power. Saitama felt, for the first time since breaking his limiter, the genuine strength of a true warrior. "Would you like to spar?" Goku asked, his voice barely containing his excitement. "I've been looking for someone strong for so long, and you might be exactly what I've been searching for." Saitama looked at his shopping basket, then at Goku's eager expression, then back at his vegetables. "I guess the market can wait," he said with a shrug. "But let's make it quick. I still need to get these home before they spoil." They moved to an empty field outside the village, far enough from civilization that their fight wouldn't endanger innocent people. Word had somehow spread about the strange orange-clad warrior challenging the legendary Demon Slayer, and curious Demon Slayers gathered at a safe distance to watch. "I should probably warn you," Goku said, settling into his fighting stance. "I'm pretty strong. I've fought gods, destroyed planets by accident, and pushed beyond limits I didn't know existed." Saitama stood casually, hands in his pockets, looking about as ready for combat as someone waiting for a bus. "That's nice," Saitama replied. "I once killed a mosquito, but it took 3 swats." Goku wasn't sure if that was a joke or a serious statement, but the deadpan delivery made him smile anyway. This guy was definitely unique. "Let's start slow," Goku said, powering up to his base form. "I don't want to hurt you right away." The Saiyan's aura flared around him, visible energy crackling through the air. The watching Demon Slayers felt the pressure from hundreds of meters away, their knees buckling under the weight of Goku's restrained power. Goku launched forward with speed that would have been invisible to normal humans, throwing a punch that could shatter mountains. It connected squarely with Saitama's face. Saitama's head moved back exactly 1 millimeter. "Huh," Saitama said, sounding mildly surprised. "That actually had some force behind it, not much, but some." Goku's eyes widened. His base form punch, which could destroy moons, had barely moved this guy's head, and Saitama wasn't even in a fighting stance. "Okay," Goku said, his excitement growing. "Let me try a little harder." He powered up to Super Saiyan, his hair turning golden and his aura exploding outward with enough force to flatten trees for miles around. The Demon Slayers watching from the distance were forced to retreat even further. This time Goku threw a combination. Left hook, right cross, uppercut, knee strike. Each attack carried enough power to level cities, delivered with speed that bent space-time around his movements. Every single attack connected with Saitama, who hadn't bothered to dodge or block. When the barrage ended, Saitama stood exactly where he'd been, completely unharmed, looking at Goku with something that might have been mild approval. "Better," Saitama said. That almost felt like a real punch. For the first time in either timeline, Saitama felt a tiny spark of something he'd almost forgotten. Not excitement exactly, but maybe the distant possibility of it. Goku's grin grew wider with each transformation. Super Saiyan 2 made the sky itself tremble. Super Saiyan 3 caused earthquakes that could be felt in neighboring countries. His golden hair grew long, his aura became a visible storm of energy, and his power shook the very foundations of the Demon Slayer world. With each new level, Goku's attacks grew exponentially stronger. Punches that could destroy solar systems, kicks that could crack dimensions, energy blasts that could erase galaxies from existence. And with each new level, Saitama remained exactly as he was, unmoving, unharmed, and increasingly interested. "This is actually kind of fun," Saitama admitted after tanking a Kamehameha wave that vaporized 3 mountains behind him. "It's been a while since someone put this much effort into fighting me." The Demon Slayers, watching from their distant vantage point, could barely comprehend what they were seeing. This wasn't a fight between humans or even demons. This was a clash between forces of nature, between beings who had transcended every limit their world understood. Muzan, watching from his hidden fortress, felt terror unlike anything he'd experienced. If either of these beings decided he was worth their attention, his existence would end faster than thought itself. But Goku was just getting started. As his transformations climbed higher, something remarkable happened. Saitama began to pay attention, not just polite attention, but genuine focus. "You know," Saitama said as Goku powered up to Super Saiyan Blue, "you're the first person in any timeline who's made me actually look at a fight instead of just waiting for it to end." Goku's heart raced. Not from exertion, but from pure joy. This was what he'd been searching for across infinite universes. Someone who could not only survive his attacks, but treat them as entertainment. "Then let me show you something really special," Goku said, his blue aura beginning to shift and change. The air around him became perfectly still. His movements gained an otherworldly grace. His silver hair began to gleam with divine light. Ultra Instinct. For the first time since arriving in this timeline, Saitama's expression changed. Not shock, not fear, but something approaching genuine interest. "Now that," Saitama said, raising his fists for the first time in the fight, "looks like it might actually be worth paying attention to." The moment Goku achieved Ultra Instinct, reality itself seemed to hold its breath. This wasn't just a transformation, it was a fundamental shift in the nature of existence around him. Every movement was perfect, every breath was precisely calculated, every heartbeat was in harmony with the universe itself. Saitama finally took his hands out of his pockets. "Consecutive normal punches," Saitama announced, his voice carrying a weight it had never held before. What followed couldn't be called a fight in any conventional sense. It was two absolute forces testing the boundaries of what was possible. Goku's Ultra Instinct allowed him to dodge attacks that existed outside of time and space. Saitama's consecutive punches created holes in reality itself. Each exchange between them sent shockwaves across multiple dimensions. Other anime characters in distant universes suddenly looked up, sensing that something unprecedented was happening somewhere in the multiverse. Vegeta, training on a distant planet, felt his rival's energy signature blazing brighter than it ever had before. All Might, in his world of heroes, felt a chill run down his spine as he sensed a power that dwarfed even One For All. Light Yagami dropped his death note, somehow knowing that there were forces in existence that even his supernatural weapon couldn't touch. But in the field where they fought, only two beings mattered. Goku, moving with divine precision, and Saitama finally showing a fraction of what lay beneath his limitless strength. "This is incredible," Goku gasped between attacks. "I can barely keep up with you, and you're barely trying." Saitama landed a punch that sent Goku flying through several mountains. But the Saiyan recovered instantly, his Ultra Instinct form allowing him to adapt to even this impossible force. "You're not like the others," Saitama said, and for the first time in either timeline there was something resembling satisfaction in his voice. "You're actually making me use more than 0% of my strength." The statement should have been impossible. How could someone use less than 0%? But as Saitama's punches began to carry just a tiny fraction more intent behind them, the universe began to crack. Literal fissures in space-time appeared around their battlefield. The dimensional barriers between worlds started to weaken. The multiverse itself was being strained by their conflict, and both fighters were smiling. Just as Saitama was about to throw what might have been his first genuinely serious punch in any timeline, the sky exploded. Not with energy or light, but with the arrival of someone whose rage could be felt across dimensional boundaries. Kakara. Vegeta burst through the weakened dimensional barriers, his fury so intense that it manifested as visible flames around his body. His Saiyan pride had been wounded by sensing Goku having the fight of his life without him. "What have you done?" Vegeta screamed as he landed between the two fighters. "Your energy signature is shaking the entire multiverse. I felt it from 3 universes away." Goku powered down from Ultra Instinct, his silver hair returning to black as he grinned sheepishly. "Hey Vegeta, I found someone really strong." Vegeta looked at Saitama, who had already put his hands back in his pockets and was looking mildly annoyed at the interruption. "This bald human?" Vegeta scoffed. "Kakarot, have you lost your mind? How could a human from this primitive world possibly challenge you?" Saitama sighed. "Great, another one. Do all people from your universe have anger management issues?" The insult hit Vegeta like a physical blow. His eye twitched as he processed being called out by someone who looked like he'd struggled to open a pickle jar. "What did you just say to me?" Vegeta growled, his aura beginning to flare. "I said you seem angry," Saitama repeated. "Maybe you should try meditation or something. Anger isn't good for your blood pressure." Goku burst out laughing, which only made Vegeta angrier. But before the Prince of Science could respond, more dimensional cracks began appearing in the sky. The battle between Goku and Saitama had weakened the barriers between worlds so much that other universes were beginning to bleed through. A familiar orange mask peered through one crack. "Interesting," Madara Uchiha mused. "Such power from another world." Through another crack, a pink-haired Soul Reaper drew his sword. "This spiritual pressure," Ichigo muttered. "It's impossible." Even more disturbing, a laugh echoed from a third crack, a laugh that belonged to someone who had destroyed timelines for fun. My, said a voice that made even Vegeta tense up. "It seems someone is playing with forces they don't understand." Goku's expression grew serious as he recognized the voice. "Oh no," he whispered. "Zeno!" As dimensional cracks continued to spread across the sky, Saitama looked up with the same mild interest he'd show at a slightly unusual weather pattern. "So," he said to Goku and Vegeta, "are more of your friends going to show up, or is this the whole Angry Space Monkey convention?" Vegeta's eye twitched again. "Angry Space Monkey?" "You know," Saitama continued, "spiky hair, yelling a lot, energy blasts, pretty much the same as the demons here, just louder." Before Vegeta could explode with rage, Goku placed a calming hand on his shoulder. "Actually, Saitama," Goku said, his voice carrying a note of excitement that worried everyone present, "I think you're about to meet a lot more fighters, and some of them might actually give you the challenge you've been looking for." Through the largest dimensional crack, a small, childlike figure began to emerge. The Omni-King, Zeno, floated down with his characteristic innocent smile that belied his ability to erase entire universes with a thought. "Ow," Zeno said cheerfully, "what a fun little fight, but you're making too much noise. Maybe I should erase this universe to make it quieter." For the first time since breaking his limiter, Saitama felt something he hadn't experienced in either timeline. Not fear exactly, but recognition. Here was someone who, like him, existed beyond the normal rules of strength and power. Someone who could end everything not through overwhelming force, but through sheer absolute authority over existence itself. "This just got interesting," Saitama said, and for the first time in any universe there was genuine anticipation in his voice. The age of simple demon slaying was over. The age of multiversal chaos was about to begin. And somewhere in his hidden fortress, Muzan Kibutsuji was seriously considering retirement. As more figures began to emerge from the dimensional cracks, Saitama realized that his quiet life in the Demon Slayer world was officially over. From one crack came the overwhelming presence of Saiyan royalty and divine beings. From another, the complex spiritual energies of Soul Reapers and Ninja. From a third, the reality-warping powers of beings who treated physics as mere suggestions. "Well," Saitama said, watching as beings from across the multiverse began to gather in what used to be a peaceful field, "this is either going to be the best day of my life or the most annoying." Goku grinned. "Probably both." Vegeta was still processing being called an angry space monkey, and Zeno was considering whether universal destruction was the best way to handle a noise complaint. The multiverse was about to witness something unprecedented, a gathering of the strongest beings from across infinite realities, all brought together by one bald man's search for a decent fight. But that's a story for another day. A story that would determine the fate of every universe, every timeline, and every possibility that had ever existed. The only question was, would there be anything left standing when it was over? Subscribe and hit the bell icon to see what happens when the multiverse's strongest beings all gather in one place. Part 3 is going to be absolutely insane.